It's been a challenging few days for racists and bigots who thought Caitlyn Clark aligned with them. First, Clark admitted her rise to fame involves white privilege, highlighting that the black women who sparked interest in women's sports never received the same visibility she has. When conservative commentator Megyn Kelly criticized her for this, Clark stood her ground. "I believe I've earned everything that's happened in my career. However, I grew up a fan of this league from a young age," Clark said on Wednesday in response to Kelly's comments. "My favorite player was Maya Moore. I understand what this league represents." For those unaware, Moore was outstanding in the WNBA, leading the Minnesota Lynx to 4 championships in 7 years and winning MVP awards in both the regular season, 2014, and WNBA Finals, 2013. With her Olympic gold medals and UConn accolades, she could be considered the greatest of all time. Beyond the game, Moore significantly influenced the WNBA's social justice efforts. She and the Lynx were among the first to protest against the racist treatment of black and brown individuals, and she retired early to aid in overturning the wrongful conviction of her now spouse. Clark often speaks about Moore's impact, indicating it transcended on-court inspiration. As I mentioned, the WNBA has been around for over 25 years. Numerous incredible black women have been part of this league, and continuing to support them is vital. "That's something I'm very aware of," Clark told Maria Taylor at the A Year in Time event, where she was named Athlete of the Year. "Few young athletes can match the thoughtfulness or clarity of LeBron James and the U.S. women's national soccer team in confronting hate and minority marginalization." This included Clark this season, whose responses to the racism and homophobia directed at other WNBA players by purported supporters often came only when prompted. However, if those lowlifes, like the woman who wrote Clark's number on paper talons to mock black players, thought they had Clark's implicit approval, they are realizing their mistake. This also applies to those who assumed Clark was too inexperienced to understand why the actions and words used in her name were concerning. She witnessed everything, all of it, and she wants no association with it. "I want to say I've earned everything, but as a white person, there is privilege," Clark told Time in the Player of the Year feature. "Many top players in the league are black athletes. This league has largely been built around them. Appreciating, highlighting, and discussing that, while obtaining support from brands and companies for those players who made this league exceptional, is very important. I must continue to strive for change," she added. "Uplifting black women will be a great outcome." This isn't self-flagellation, as Kelly criticized. This isn't patronizing or insincere. This is a young woman acknowledging that while she has worked hard for her position and deserves her recognition, she also benefits from a society that continues to prioritize white individuals. Individuals like Kelly, and regrettably many share her view today, seem to think that acknowledging this is a moral failing. They believe that recognizing privilege undermines their achievements. They feel stating privilege is real makes them seem less remarkable than they think, which could be true. However, privilege simply acknowledges that if you are white, male, or appear cisgender, society subconsciously provides you an advantage. It explains why a white person can enter a store and receive a smile, while a black person is closely monitored. It also clarifies why a man is assumed capable of a job, while a woman is deemed unqualified regardless of her qualifications. It illustrates why someone who appears straight can live openly without scrutiny, while someone who is gay or transgender faces judgment regarding their body and personal life. It highlights why a straight white woman who can easily make logo threes is celebrated, while equally skilled and charismatic black women are overlooked, especially those who identify as LGBTQ. Women's basketball has already improved thanks to Caitlyn Clark. Her remarks this week indicate that the world will also benefit. While this may provoke outrage from Kelly and her perceived supporters, it will undoubtedly make Moore proud. WNBA legend Cheryl Swoops had a notable reaction to Caitlyn Clark's Time Athlete of the Year interview, where she acknowledged her white privilege and expressed her desire to uplift black players. During Tuesday's episode of the Gills Arena podcast, Swoops was surprised and shrugged when co-host Josiah Johnson noted that Clark stated the league was largely founded on the contributions of black players, including Swoops, one of the first players signed to the WNBA when it launched in 1996. What are your views on Caitlyn Clark wanting to use her platform to support black women in the WNBA, who have notably influenced the league? Johnson asked. Swoops, often linked to many of Clark's controversies, nodded during a brief pause. She noted that she was not surprised Clark, the #1 pick in this year's WNBA draft, an All-Star and Rookie of the Year, received Time Athlete of the Year. "I'm not surprised. I'm curious about the other candidates, but it's remarkable that she is the first WNBA player to receive Time Magazine Athlete of the Year," Swoops remarked. "My question is whether the criteria reflect her on-court performance. Yes, she had a great year. Or does it relate more to her impact on the game this season? This is great for her in the league. There was a lot of discussion about the recognition she brought to the W this season, so her award as Time Magazine Athlete of the Year is very positive for the league." Swoops, a 3-time MVP, won 4 straight championships with the Houston Comets from 1997-2000 and 3 Olympic gold medals with USA Basketball. In her Time interview, Clark stated, "I want to say I've earned everything, but as a white person, I have privilege. Many successful players in this league have been Black. This league has been built on their contributions. The more we recognize, highlight, and discuss this, while encouraging brands to invest in those players who have made this league outstanding, is essential. I must keep working to change that. Uplifting Black women will be a beautiful step forward." Clark, 22, reiterated her comments at a Time dinner in New York City at Current and Chelsea Piers on Wednesday. When asked about Megyn Kelly's criticism regarding her comments on white privilege, the WNBA star said she is good at blocking things out. Earlier this year, Swoops faced backlash for comments questioning Clark's all-time scoring record at Iowa, inaccurately claiming Clark had an extra year to surpass it during a different episode of Gil's Arena podcast. Swoops had previously stated that she holds no resentment toward Clark and praised her performance. The WNBA icon noted that Clark's supporters have been excessively critical. Caitlyn Clark's comments were part of a broader discussion on the WNBA's history, where Black women have predominantly been players and made vital contributions. Clark, who is white, has consistently acknowledged her privilege as a member of a group that usually enjoys more visibility and opportunities in sports compared to Black athletes. In an interview, she sought to express her respect for Black women who have paved the way in basketball and the need to elevate diverse voices in the sport. She indicated her intention to utilize her platform to create opportunities for others, especially Black athletes, while acknowledging that racial dynamics in professional sports often benefit white athletes like herself. Clark's statements faced significant backlash from some people. Diana Taurasi once famously stated, "Reality is coming about Caitlyn Clark joining the WNBA. The issue is that many in the league seem unable to accept this reality." This week, Clark received Time's Athlete of the Year award, which should be a reason for celebration. However, as often occurs with Clark, it ignited irrational debates about a player who has not acted controversially and who fans should feel fortunate to watch. Clark's recognition entered political dialogue. Consequently, a familiar narrative resurfaced, the idea that Clark is showcased at the expense of the entire WNBA. This was expressed by Washington Mystics co-owner Sheila Jackson, who stated that the entire league should have appeared on the Time cover, not just Clark. This perspective is disheartening at this point. Instead of acknowledging Clark's achievements, there persists an air of bitterness. When the aforementioned reality indicates that Clark deserves recognition by any objective measure, it also underscores that her notable popularity benefits all her fellow athletes. This includes Jackson's Mystics, who saw record attendance because of Clark and the Indiana Fever's visit. While the 2024 WNBA Rookie of the Year was attributed with nearly half of the league's total broadcast value, according to estimates, the uplift did not completely diminish in her absence. In fact, the WNBA Finals garnered impressive ratings as well. Women's basketball as a whole has gained from Clark's presence. It is hard to understand why this is not seen as a positive for everyone, but is instead used to critique the individual responsible. This does not suggest that players lacked attention previously. It merely signifies they are now recognized due to Clark. For instance, one could argue that Aja Wilson has notably gained as new fans appreciate her skills. There is also a notion, backed by the Mystics co-owner, that Clark is emphasized more than others with similar abilities. This claim fails under scrutiny, given that the Fever star not only set the all-time NCAA scoring record, but also thrived in her inaugural WNBA season. The attention on her has consistently stemmed from her on-court performance. Certainly, other elements affect the Caitlyn Clark effect. Nevertheless, its existence cannot be denied. Its influence has been a considerable benefit for the entire WNBA. It is time for those who oppose this trend to move forward, as the rising tide has indeed uplifted all. There is no reason to wish for the Clark wave to diminish for the ocean's acknowledgement.